Okay. All right. All right. So, yes, family. Greetings, Grand Rising family. Good day, good day. It's beautiful Saturday wherever you are, wherever you're at. My name is Kyle Dixon. I am one part of the Grand Rising Collective. Today, we have a special guest with us. Her name is Ms. Jaaclyn Davis, and she will give us a little bit of insight on who she is, what she does in the community, and just how she's been doing this work, this righteous work, even during the time of the this coronavirus. But before we really fully jump in, just want to give you a little bit of background. The Grand Rising Collective podcast is about. The Grand Rising Collective podcast was started by myself and my fellow colleague, Kayode Bentley. The reason we chose the term Grand Rising Collective is basically it's a term of endearment for the morning, get the morning start right. People say Grand Rising, good morning, good rising. And it's also a reminder to start the day at your best, to be grand, be excellent, rise to the occasion of your obstacles and issues. And it's a reminder, again, for us to be excellent in all that we do and all that we strive for in our thinking, in our doing, and in our being, okay? So I'm an educator slash entrepreneur, and also I'm a community activist in reference of working with the youth. So without further ado, I want to pass it to my fellow colleague, Kayode Bentley.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you as always. Kyle already done an excellent job in explaining the Grand Rising Collective. So what I'm going to do is give you a little background as brief as I can on who I am, so that way you know exactly who you're listening to and who's talking. My name is Kayode Bentley. I'm the president and founder of an organization called 4Ts, which stands for Teaching Teens to Think. The mission of this organization is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill set. That is what they do naturally. That way they can complete their education in line with getting a job, thus establishing a career, and ultimately starting a business if they choose to. My demographic is pretty much directed to inner city youth. And my interest in being a part of the Grand Rising Collective is because it gives me an opportunity to disseminate that information to a larger audience, particularly an audience that resides in our community. Neighborhood, particularly, there's a difference between community and neighborhood. So that way I can share this information not only with young people, but with parents, with the elders in the community, as well as business owners and things of that nature. So that way these discussions and this information that we have doesn't stay in a bubble in a communication just among my colleagues, but I can also share it amongst what we call family, our family. So that way we can uplift the community and make the world sort of a better place. That's my hat as far as an entrepreneur. I'm also an educator. I am a professor at Fordham University. I also sit on the board, advisory board of Long Island University. So that's my entrepreneurial hat and my educator hat. This is what I bring to the table. I'm glad to be a part of what we're doing here, and I hope the information that we share here is very informative and useful, and please don't hesitate to engage. That's who I am. Thank you so very much, and without any further ado, we are going to hand it over to our special guest, which I'm excited to learn here about she can share with us as a community. So here we go. Please, Jaaclyn, is all yours.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much, Kyle. Thank you so much. How do I pronounce your name?
Kayode.
Thank you so much for having me on the show and giving me an opportunity to share the gifts that I have learned and continue to learn about health and healing. And since I'm in the presence of such wonderful people that have said great things about themselves, I guess I should say some things about what I do. I am a holistic life coach and a psychotherapist. I've been practicing since 2005. And well, as far as business is concerned, I think all of us have something to do with being educators and then entrepreneurs. So I felt like, okay, I'm right at home because I am the president and honorary founder of a nonprofit organization for women's empowerment called A Gathering of Goddesses. And I'm also of a child care center here in Nashville, Tennessee called Premier Learning Academy. So women and children in general, my practice as well as my work outside of the child care center is focused on women and children and adolescents and people of color. I don't exclude my services to anyone, but it just so happens that the population that I work with exclusively is Black and brown. But I'm really excited about what I do because I know and understand the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And we as a community have a lot to do to heal ourselves in all ways possible, especially through the fork, knife, and the spoon, in a way that we can help ourselves or hurt ourselves every day. So when people come into my office, it's not just about being on my couch and, okay, it's your hour, tell me what you're feeling. I know and understand that we are mind, body, and spirit. So all of those areas have to be addressed within an individual to have a holistic perspective in life. And I personally have to practice what I preach. So I live a life that reflects what I teach to my community and what I teach to my clients. So I'm just really excited to be here and to share time with you guys today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I feel special.
Yes. Indeed. So let's jump right into it. A lot going on, of course, been going on for the past 2 weeks. You know, some of us have been more sequestered in our homes than others. And a lot of folks are just kind of feeling that tension, that fear, that anxiety. But before we even jump right into that, Jaaclyn, what led you into like this type of work? Because I know a lot of times people feel like, you know, well, what purpose may this serve, or like what type of like interest did you have to kind of even go down this route of like a holistic lifestyle coach, but also dealing with like, again, like therapy, you know, working with women, children? Like, how did you even kind of really start getting into that?
Let me tell you something. I graduated from Fisk University.
Fisk?
So, while I was there, that's an amazing HBCU, and it helped me
very amazing.
Open up my eyes to who I was as a person, right? But while I was there, I was a pre-med major first. And I had Dr. Princella Smart Evans as one of my chemistry teachers. And let me tell you something, chemistry changed my mind about everything. That was the first class I ever failed in my life. And after that, I was, like, you know, my mother literally was like, I've never seen you like this. Pick yourself up. What are you doing with your life? I changed my major to psychology. And when I tell you, it's just like firecrackers went off. I was on the dean's list every semester after my second semester of my freshman year after that. So I have to thank chemistry for giving me the opportunity to explore other things. But after practicing and just working in the corporate world, at first I was working for, I was doing work in the alcohol and drug arena. And I would see clients and they would come in and they would approve them for a certain amount of sessions, and they would come in either individual or group therapy. And I really saw that the interventions, they helped, but something was missing. Something was missing. And I, you know, through reading, research, prayer, meditation, and getting a feel for the people and understanding that I personally felt after a while that I was doing them a disservice by not looking into all areas of an individual's life, which means mind, body, and spirit. They're all linked together. And when I decided to leave corporate and do things more holistically, it's kind of like when you change your mind. We've all read that book. Well, I'm assuming you all might have read that book, but The Alchemist.
Oh yes.
It talks about how
Paulo Coelho. Yeah,
the universe co-conspires with you for your manifestations to come to be. So these realizations were already in my destiny. So as soon as I changed my mind, as soon as I had these realizations, things started making themselves available to me and opening up to where I had a greater understanding. I would go to this seminar and meet somebody, and then I go to this conference, and then this huge, you know, I guess I'll say platform was about holistic wellness. And when I decided to brand myself as a holistic life coach or a holistic practitioner, it was very, very new. There were no schools, there were no life coaches out there. It was a while back. So, but I was very, very certain that the way you think. Well, I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. If you wanted to look at the books, you know what I'm saying? Well, the foundation, right? I'm eclectic. I very much use different modalities, but CBT is my grounding. So understanding that thoughts precede action is important. So what are you thinking? Why are you thinking it? But that's not the only thing I look into. Well, why are you thinking that what you're eating doesn't affect your emotional status or situation? So you have to look into, in my perspective, what you're thinking, why you're thinking it, and your actions that are linked to it. And then the spiritual aspect is the fact that there is nothing that happens on a daily basis that does not have a spiritual root. So all those things together, through just doing, again, continued research and living that life myself. I'm always my first example because I have to be a scientist of myself, and I encourage all my clients to be scientists of themselves as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot to process.
Yeah. That's how we do it. That's how this do you, man. That's, like I said.
Yeah.
It's used to the house, baby. I told you.
All right, so I have a question. Some people may not know who are listening. What exactly does cognitive mean? You said you're a cognitive therapist, and I think you explained somewhat intuitive how people need to connect what they eat, everything. And I love the fact that you said everything you do has some kind of spiritual basis to it, right? Daily, on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So I guess my simple question is, can you elaborate more or detail more, if you haven't already, what cognitive means for those who may not know or make that connection?
Mm-hmm. Well, the word cognitive, there are individuals within the psychology realm that are just cognitive therapists. There's people that are just behavioral therapists. The cognitive behavioral mixes together, again, the how we flow as humans. We have thought first, and then we act on our thoughts. So cognitive talks about our logical process in our minds.
Okay.
What you're thinking and the basis to understand why. Now, that's when you dig deep in therapy, understanding the why to everything. Because again, I'm a vitalist as well, understanding that if we are going to talk about something or attack it or heal trauma or heal any patterns, you have to go to the root. And the root is where you'll find the answers. And most of the time, if you get to the right root, the other symptoms and other things that you're thinking you're dealing with will dissipate as well. But you do have to do the work. And sometimes, and it's not just what are you thinking, it's why are you thinking it? That's the big question.
Thank you. Cool. Kyle?
You're on mute, Kyle.
Yeah, so I want to mute myself just because I heard an echo. So right, so breaking down this, Jack, when we talk about like referencing The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, Santiago being the main character. Only reason I know that you all family because I just read. Okay. I knew the main character, but I forgot his name. So yeah, Santiago, and like finding that things are like right where he left them. Like he had to go out to experience life to find out all he truly needed was right there in his backyard, right? So in reference of us like being sequestered, like you dealing with thoughts, dealing with behavior, how is this current situation that we're dealing with now, how is that affecting some people's behavior that you've noticed maybe in your own collective group or clients that you've had, or just the overall dynamic of just how people are feeling, just how they express themselves on the internet?
With this climate, is that in parentheses? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so what I have seen is that self-regulation has not been at the forefront of most individuals' minds. And I say that because they're allowing the media and the mass hysteria from individuals that are either uninformed or just fear-based in general to take over their normal logical thought process. Fear, I tell all of my clients and myself, definitely myself, that fear means these are false evidence appearing real, FEAR. So there's a balance with that as well, because caution and fear are two different things. Taking caution is what we're all doing right now because of actions and social distancing, and we're being mindful. But I know with myself and others, they had to take a hiatus or purge themselves from social media or from the TV outlets or anything like that, because when you're reading right now, when you're reading or hearing certain things that elicit feelings within an individual, and those triggers look different for everyone. So I tell people you have to guard your gate. What you see, what you hear, what you touch, what you feel, what you smell. You have to guard them right now, or all the time, but especially right now with all the heightened fear and anxiety that's happening in our community. I see it, and I've had to regulate when with my own personal connections and friendships with individuals, and you have to place proper boundaries. That's what's not happening. People don't have proper boundaries with what they are able to receive and accept because fear has clouded their judgment and just allowed for certain thoughts to, linger and play around in their mind. It's easily overcome, but it takes a fortuitous, concerted effort to do so.
Would you say that a lot of people who, I guess, I'm sorry, Cal, can I?
No, that's fine.
In terms of fear, would you say that fear is probably a large part of why a lot of people are dying? Like, if, for example, if they contact coronavirus, fine, it's affect your respiratory system, fine. We know, or I think, based on you and Kyle, you'll do your information that the body heals itself.
Absolutely.
If given enough time, rest, those natural herbs, which we're going to get into, we're going to die. But the fear part that the media is saying, oh, you contract this, basically it's like a death sentence and things like that. You think part of the fear is what causes or results in the termination of the person's life, would you say?
My opinion is yes. And the reason why I say that is because there's so much research on there out in the world and medical journals and psychology journals and all over the world about how powerful the mind is. And people have been given a placebo in certain instances. They do double-blind research studies where they give one controlled group the actual medicine and another control group a placebo, and then another group absolutely like nothing, right? And there have been changes in all three groups when it comes to the outcomes of this particular, the basis of the research study. And I'm being because there's so many, but you can heal yourself or kill yourself with your thoughts. So, and meaning that if you're taking medications, your thoughts about something, negative or positive, can help the outcomes be on either side of that, just to reiterate. But I highly agree with the fact that we have the ability to overcome or create an environment in our bodies that is not conducive to healing, or one that is. And you don't have to take my word on that. There's so much research out there. So much.
If you can, share that with Kyle, so we can add that to the channel and put the links in there in regards to some of the research that people could look up for themselves. Yeah, Kyle.
Definitely. Yeah. So those things of like what you're talking about, Jaaclyn, like those thoughts create emotions, emotions create actions, actions create results. Like how does your work play a part in helping people, and especially in this particular time, get over some of that fear and anxiety that they may be facing, whether it be figurative in their minds or like literally, like they have somebody who has maybe contracted it and they're going through it. You know, like how has your work impacted that type of scenario going on?
Well, I can say I really like working with individuals who are skeptics. And there's a certain temperament that's more prone to that. The type of work that I do has a lot to do with temperament therapy. And when I understand the temperament of an individual, it helps me gauge how to work with them and to help them meet their goals. But individuals that are more skeptics, I'll use that word at the time, there are certain techniques that are helpful for those individuals. And I'm just going to assume that everybody everybody watching and you two guys are skeptics, okay? Most individuals that are skeptics or people that walk around the world in fear, they require proof. And they're not trusting of most individuals or things. So I have to go to the root at the moment with knowing with the information I know about that individual. I have to go to the root of their thought process. So if I see the root of their thought process being a thinking error, and there's a list of thinking errors, but generalizations are one, being able to, again, pinpoint where their thought process is and weed out what's not true. And then substitute that with a positive thought, positive affirmation and a positive action. You can create and rewrite that loop of negative thought with a loop of positive thought, and then they'll see the proof by them actually being the ones doing it. They'll believe themselves. They have to believe themselves first before they believe anybody else. So I've seen that with adults, men, women, children, all across the board. You have to show them that the thoughts are leading to negative behaviors, but also your thoughts can lead you to positive behaviors. But you do have to have a sense of, I'll just say you have to buy in to the situation. Because if you're so afraid that something is going to happen and you can't see past it, it takes longer, but when it comes to receiving help or receiving therapy, you have to be at a space to where you're willing to be open to other scenarios, other situations, other outcomes than the ones you've always thought. You have to be willing to be open.
I have a two-part question to that. One in which I think I already know the answer. It should be common sense, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and then I have a follow-up to it. The first question is, typically, how long does that process take? Because we live in a microwave society, so to speak.
Yeah, I won it yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, instant resolution, or instant healing, or instant whatever. But don't realize that a lot of things take time. So my question to you, I know it ranges, right? It depends on how soon the person buys in. So you say, for example, someone coming to you is desperate in a situation, what have you, and they buy in. Typically, I know there's no solid answer, but in your opinion, what's the range on how long it takes to reprogram that thought process to get rid of the negative, to replace it with the positive, and then get on to healthy, healing, a healthy lifestyle?
I'll say this. It works quickest when they are able to incorporate the mind, body, and the spirit protocols all together.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And that's why I say we are a holistic organism. We can't just talk about one thing in a person. But if the individual is not ready to go down, let me get in that plate yet, or you're not open to, or you were kind of stuck in your ways when it comes to looking at spiritualism or spiritual evolution or religion in general. Like if that person is just really streamlined, then it could take longer. But for an individual that incorporates all of the process together, at minimum 90 days.
Okay.
At minimum.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because, and I'm just going to throw this out there, but they say it's the time for you to break a habit is 30 days or something like that. But something you have to not eat it for 30 days until it gets out the system. So 90 days is very interesting. The follow-up question I have for you, Jack, is what has been some of your challenges in this field? Have you ever wanted to quit and be like, oh, I can't take this no more?
we talking about black folks now. We talking about black folks like, can it happen tomorrow? I gotta take this. like why did I do all this? It's like
I will say that the challenges that I come across are the angst that I feel because I can see how they're doing better, but they aren't. You know, like they can't see their progress. They don't. They want to be, like you said, the instant microwave society situation, and I need it now. I want it now. But within 2 weeks, I might have seen some really good improvement. But they're like, how could that be? It's the self-doubt. The self-doubt that I see with individuals, or they're listening and they're doing the work and they relapse, and it's so hard for them to come back, you know, to the table of wellness that's been spread. But they usually come back, but the shame and the kind of the embarrassment that they feel because they fell off, and I mean that's sort of a roadblock. But challenges to me, I don't really see the things that I'm saying. They're unfortunate, but I don't see them as a quote unquote challenge, because each thing that happens gives me an opportunity to teach a little harder, to teach a little more, to be a better educator. So in those areas that I see some resistance, I think about how I can change my technique with that client. It just makes me smarter and a better provider when I come up against things that might hinder someone from being successful. But if they're willing to stick in there for the long haul, then I'm definitely there for the long haul as well.
And I think that's important too, like the work we do in community, because a lot of times we gotta people say you gotta lead your people to the water. You know, it's like you gotta come on, y'all. It's better on this other side. It's sweeter over here, and it's like, nah, I'm good over here in this pasture where there's minimal grass and stuff isn't how it should be. You know, I'm used to this. You know what I'm saying? Like over there, it looks cool, but that seems so far fetched. I can't get to that. So this leads into my question, Jaaclyn. We've talked about it before. We've had a guest on here before, Ms. Kavana Nixon. She's a licensed therapist. So you all are in the same realm of working with the community, healing the community. How has it been for men? Because you and I have talked about it before, as far as men going to therapy, receiving counsel. And it's not like that's something new to our community, but actually going outside of the home or outside of the people that we know of in our families, possibly, to be able to receive these services, legit services, by the way. Yeah. How has it been? Have you seen a change or a shift of men coming to you, or even men bringing their sons to you, or just how has that been going?
I honestly, between 2019 and now, have had a surge of male clients, and most of them have had issues in their relationship lives that have spilled over into a social setting, or might interfere with their jobs, or but an interpersonal struggle that they were dealing with is what brought them to therapy for a generalized type of situation. But I will say that that's the good type of propaganda that is out there now. They have a lot of resources for individuals to literally just click on a button and find a Black therapist, man or woman, that's in your area. They're making us more accessible, and easy to access. So I feel as though, and the stigma around receiving therapy, I feel has dissipated some. And that again is reflected in the media. Whatever you're watching, whether you're watching a movie or a sitcom or something on Netflix, there's maybe one or two characters in there somewhere in the storyline that is receiving therapy. So the mindset around it has changed over the years, because when I grew up, and I'm quite sure you all can say the same, it was a taboo no to receive therapy. And because of the male-dominated patriarchal society that we live in, what's perceived as a male is one that would not need help or be shamed to receive that type of help or assistance. But, and sometimes it takes life-altering changes and adjustments for someone to receive it. But I feel as though, again, like I said, there's a lot of positive propaganda and information being shared about therapy, and we're not as hard on ourselves as we were. And the institutions that might have been shaming therapy have included therapy and therapeutic services as a part of what they offer to the community as well. Right. So they're making it accessible in ways that are mild enough that it's okay. As we know, there's a lot of things that weren't okay are completely okay now. But because of the way that the society has shifted its thought patterns, and the people who have the platforms have included it in what they're saying, and they are influential to the people. So it's a societal shift that has happened in my perspective.
Okay. And just real quick, because I know, Kayode, I know you got your questions. I want I've always been candid, and with the family. I went to counseling, have received counseling, do continue to receive it, periodically, just as a check-in. Because again, it was a stigma for us growing up. It was a heavy stigma, and again, it's nothing new to our community. It's just that going outside of the home, where we're going to a licensed person, and we've had more people of color, Black folks, Latinos, even Asians getting into the psychiatric field. There's two people I can think of that kind of opened me up to that particular idea. Was Dr. Winbush at Fisk University. Shout out Dr. Winbush, Dr. Raymond Winbush. He's now at Morgan State.
Love him.
And Kevin Powell, the author of activist here in New York City. I saw him speak in Chicago, and he was talking about him, and I read some of his books too, talking about him receiving therapy for his aggression and pain growing up in a single parent home, having issues dealing with women, having relationships with women. That helped open me up to the idea of even receiving it. But it wasn't until my father transitioned that really pushed me into that heavy, because of the pain I was feeling. I'm like, look, I got to talk to somebody, because this is too much to bear on my own. You know what I'm saying? I definitely need to seek guidance and counsel, proper guidance and counsel, of course. But.
Right.
Awesome. We have a lot of questions to ask you. I'm looking at the time, brother. Yeah. This is so informative, man. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best because I don't want to get too far. I want us to,
and we can do a part 2. When she has time. Jaaclyn, I don't know if you're open to that, but if we need to do a part 2. Cool.
Awesome. Right, I'm gonna switch the topic a little, not too much though, but we're talking about holistic healing, right? And then in comparison to hospitals and the medicational healing. Do you see people, or has there been a change, or have you heard that people are more looking towards alternative remedies in healing as opposed to the traditional hospital trainings of healing? Have you seen a change in that at all?
That's another societal change that I'm very, very glad to see. And I'm not the person that's a holistic life coach or a therapist or a herbalist, because I'm all those things, but I'm not the person that will be like, I've been telling you all this for 2 years. Nobody was listening to me. I'm like, it doesn't matter when you get on the bandwagon, just come. Because your children, your children's children, your family that you're in front of right now has been waiting for you to show up and take command of your home and your wellness, and realize that you have the opportunity to heal yourself and everyone around you through your kitchen, through your mind, and through the emotional well-being that you can create in the home. I want it for everyone. And I personally feel like it's just a good time to be alive, to have the calling that I have, because I have the opportunity to give someone the net to go fish for yourself, to create a climate of wellness within your home. Yes, I'm excited. I've definitely seen a change. And I think the reason why that is because, again, if you listen to the commercials, if you really listen to the commercials for, let's say, a medication for heart disease or acid reflux, because we see that a whole lot, right? Listen to the commercial, and then you'll see them in the background. Everybody's playing, it's all nice, and they're walking their dog. And then all of a sudden at the end, you still see them playing, but you hear might cause diarrhea, might cause a rash, and most serious effects will be death. So if it's like I tell individuals, if you want to save your life, read labels. Read labels.
That's true.
And California is ahead of the curve with making things more available as far as information. Proposition 54 or 64. I don't want to say the wrong number, but that makes. But it's a law. It put it into law that all of these companies have to specify what's in their product and what the dangers are to the individual.
Right.
FDA approved or not. They have to specify that this causes heart cancer, this causes a brain aneurysm. They have to make it plain so that customers have the opportunity to make good choices for themselves.
Right.
But through, again, the times are changing to where these big corporations, big pharma, the farming industry, the medical industry, they're pulling the covers off of these individuals. There are whistleblowers, and I'm grateful for the whistleblowers, because sometimes at their own demise, they give us the information that we need, because to them it's about dollars. Yeah. And wellness is not wealthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sickness makes money.
Right. Very good.
So it's in that, in that cycle of abuse, they want to keep going. So, but individuals are realizing that I'm taking this medication, but I'm taking another medication for the side effect of this medication, and another medication for a side effect of this medication. Well, what if I just stopped all that together? Now, again, you have to, as a consumer, as an individual with your own body and your own thoughts, you have to be brave enough to do the research and link up with somebody that can help you, or take the initiative to ask questions. And that's why clients need advocates, because they're fearful when they walk into those rooms with people with white coats, and they're just supposed to take everything that they say and run. Like, and that's why I encourage people going back to being a scientist of yourself. And my mother's a doctor, and she'll say sometimes it's a curse to have an informed client, because they'll come in there with all the information and they'll tell you, well, this is happening, but it's happening because of this and this and this and this, and they know everything, right? And the doctor, because they're like, what am I here for? I mean, but informed patients stop abuse of themselves
and their loved ones too.
Yes, and their loved ones. So I feel like the more informed a person is, the better. But we do have to be mindful of some doctors of what their objectives are. Me, I see people and I want to see them out of my office. I want you to be well to where you can come back if you want something, or if you want to talk. I just feel like at the end of the day, you should be well, and it shouldn't be recurring for years and years and years. Then I would have to question myself and my practice.
Very good. Very good. Real quick question, Kyle, I want to ask real quick. How can people find an advocate? Because there are a lot of people out there who don't have people to speak for them. They don't have time to do the research. It's just hectic. Any suggestions on how people can go about, what is like 1 or 2 steps that somebody can go about finding an advocate? Any suggestions you have regarding that?
I will send Kyle a link for patient advocacy. Awesome. But I would say, outside of the link, find an individual in your community that you trust, that can point you in the direction of someone that works in the healthcare field that doesn't have biases. you know, and most of the time they're going to reach out to their close individuals, family first, right? So if you know somebody within your family that's a healthcare professional and has your best interest in mind, that's where you start.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense, because I know even when I was starting to get into like looking for like a counsel or therapy or, you know, correct doctors, I kind of went on like what my mom and them did back in the day, was like her friend went to someone and they're like, oh, he or she is good, link me in, like, you know, like, are they good? They're like, oh yeah, if you're gonna go to like a dentist or something, try this person. Because my mother was huge on like Black doctors, dentists, physicians. Like, I still got the same physician I had as a child. Like when I go back home and whatnot, like he's seen me from literally a child to adulthood. You know what I'm saying? And that's important. Like that, those things. I was fortunate enough to have a mother that had the foresight of that, but my grandmother had the foresight of that, and my grandfather had the foresight of that. You know what I'm saying? So, and my father's side as well. So, like, I was fortunate enough to kind of come up in that, and I still have my challenges, but at least I had that kind of in my subconscious, like, oh, there's nothing wrong going to a good Black doctor. There's nothing wrong going to another doctor if that suits you. So yeah, that I know a lot of times people are like, well, where do I start? Where do I go? And it's like, sometimes it's really right in your backyard. You just got to ask. Like we say, closed mouths don't get fed. So it's like, you got to put it out there to say, hey, you know, I'm looking for something, or I'm looking to do this. But Jack, I want to go back into what you were talking about, like with the breaking the habits of like getting people to realize that they can't heal themselves. Like what are some of the things, like basic stuff that you find that people don't do that can be dealing with like healing, like whether it be physically, whether it be mentally, spiritually, you know, just from your experience?
Okay. What I do personally to help individuals see that wellness is wealth and you can walk in it every single day is being the best light and example that I can be. I want my light and I want my life to shine. So you asked me, what did you do? How are you doing it? Because I can tell them better than I can show. I mean, I can show them better than I can tell them.
Yeah.
So, but our best doctors is nature. They're not getting out in the sun, number one. They're not drinking clean water, number two. They're not eating fresh fruits and vegetables as the main parts of their meal. Those are the main. Those are the main ones. They're just activity. They're not moving enough.
Okay.
They're literally just not moving enough. Most of our jobs that we're in right now, even us, we're sedentary right now.
Right.
That is the American plight. Sometimes it's just the fact that we are lazy. We just don't move. That our society has programmed us to be behind or in front of something, doing some busy work. And we all have done it and probably, and still do it, but in balance. If you have a balance between the different areas of your life that bring wellness to you, then you usually have better outcomes. But when you're watching TV this much and going outside this much, that's the problem. So a lot of times our lifestyles aren't balanced in general.
Nice, good point. Now I'm going to bring this up. How do I? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question, and I know time is of the essence as well. There are a lot of people who feel, or they're making this push now, especially society, medicinal medication, so-called from the earth. Let me put it out there. Weed. Some people feel weed is good alternative. How does the term CBD marijuana fit into this space, or is it separate?
Holistic healing, no, it's not separate because everything is connected. Now, how our government chooses to view it doesn't knock its medicinal healing property. It doesn't change that it's a plant ally of ours. How it's used, just like anything, alcohol is legal, but it can kill you. So I feel as though being properly educated gives each person an opportunity to make a decision that's best for themselves. Okay, like, where did he go?
Yeah.
So the endocannabinoid system is in all of us already. We have receptors in our bodies with CBD, THC. There's a number of receptors in our body that respond to that type of herbal medicine. And again, the regular public is just not informed. And that's the agenda of the government, or people that want to control the minds of those who don't want that type of wellness brought into the medical, or, I say deemed medical, medicinal and alternative. They want it to be over here and separate, and then medical over here. But we are humans and we have to use both to be successful. So integrating them in one's mind would be helpful, because they would release the tension of one is better than the other.
Or one is good or one is bad.
Right. Now, again, it's all about balance. There are individuals that have struggled with seizures for decades and were introduced to medicinal marijuana and were able to have relief and live a normal life for the first time in their lives.
Wow.
So it's very helpful for individuals who use it in that way, for that purpose. But I don't want to say that that's the only way that it can be used. So I'm very careful of what I'm saying, because everything can be abused therapeutically, herbal, as well as pharmaceutical. The dose is the poison, always.
So what is the poison?
The dosage.
The dosage
is the poison.
Because just to interject briefly, Jack, if people like, oh, so that means I can go out and take as much marijuana and just smoke up all day and just puff and just, like they just go to the extreme. They just go there. Like,
the word you used, extreme, and I'm glad you used it, because on a scale that's not balanced.
Exactly. It's not balanced. And I want to tie this into, because you work with the youth, I work with the youth, Kayode works with the youth. We talked about in one of our other podcasts, we talk about how, again, my youth particularly sometimes coming to school high. They're coming to school, from smoking marijuana or using other drugs to kind of sedate them, right? Popping pills, some people say. And how does that tie into, like you said, that balance? Because again, people see it as a gateway drug, but I respectfully disagree to a certain extent, because I see more of the drugs of the sugar and the salt, right? That I see my children, my students come to school heavy, the Takis, the huge Starbucks, no diss to Starbucks, I go there, but the huge, mocha chocolate, frappuccino milkshake, the donut, 2 donuts, right? This is breakfast, y'all. This is breakfast, right? And maybe like a bagel, egg, and cheese joint. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, all those words just hurt my spirit. Why it hurts my spirit is because, again, they're young, and those things are affecting their neural pathways. They are making them. They're using these foods, and they don't even realize that they are using these foods and or drugs. And I'll say foods. I'll say foods in this case. They're using those foods like a drug, because if you take something and that once you take it, it'll change your mood or change how you're feeling, you're using it as a drug. So food can be a drug because of its application in one's body. But to get back to what you're saying, talking about gateway drugs. Gateway, I think a lot of things could go into the category of gateway, because gateways open you up, right? It opens up the pathway. So if we think about the way society has been geared, there are thought patterns that were the gateway before any substance was a gateway. Because like he said that we are in a process of it being an instant gratification type of society, right? What opened that gateway? That's my question to you all. What opened that gateway in your perspective? Because when you think about, I need it now, I need it instantly, I want to feel better now. So what trauma, what are you experiencing in your life to where you have to get instant relief right now? Why is it so bad to where you have to take this, do this, experience this right now to get relief? What happened to understanding that change takes time? I don't want it to take that. You know what I'm saying? So these are all thoughts that are leading to the actions of doing certain things, like overindulgence. There are some temperaments that are more prone to that than others, but we all have experienced it at some point. Why did I want to overindulge? What gave me the thought that was okay, or that was something good for my mental state or my physical state right now? So the wormhole goes real deep, and it can go real deep real quick. But most people want to tune that out. They don't want to do the work. They want to continue on the pathway that they're on because of how they are feeling. Everything that we feel, our emotions are tied to everything. And people are trying to maintain a certain level of equilibrium within their bodies. And they do that by food, drink, certain levels of stimulation. And all of it is stimulation. All of it is stimulation. People are not stimulated, as we can see on the internet and all the TikToks and all the things that people are doing while they're in their homes. That stimulation is necessary, but we have to stimulate ourselves in the right way. And people have used the sugar and the salt and the fats that are in these certain foods to help them feel full. And full is a loaded term. I used it because full is loaded.
Yeah.
If you're not full, if you're not full, am I empty? Am I lacking anything? And if I can't meet that need emotionally, then I'll physically feel full, so I'll be okay temporarily. All these things are band-aids. All these things are band-aids. But with the children, I want to make sure I answer your question.
Yeah. Woof, you going woof. Nah, you going in.
Because I go off on a tangent, but that's just, you know.
No, that wasn't tangent at all. I'm almost like, man, I'm like, I did.
Gateways for children are the examples that their parents and those that are around them are setting. So if children aren't opened up to the sugar and the salt and the things that are not healthy for them, if the parents have the paradigm to understand that this temple is sacred and we have to put in the good things that help it grow and help it evolve, they're less susceptible to indulge in those things. But it's so easily accessible that you really have to be regimented, within your life and within your thoughts so that they understand. Like there are curriculums, there are things out there that teach about how good whole foods are. And I just won't say plant-based. I am vegan. I've been vegan for 15 years, but because of my body type, because of my blood type, because of all the things that make me up, because I know me, that's what works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. But you have to find that out or get help from someone that can help you find that out. But they're doing the best that they can to cope with the moment. That whether it's if they were given a piece of cake and in their mind, our subconscious mind is always on. It's taking an inventory. It doesn't discriminate between this is good and this is bad. It's just like, oh, I felt that when I had that. That it remembers by association and symbols. So cake made them feel good. Then if they see cake again, they'll be like, ooh. So
it's like a comfort food, right?
Yes, most definitely, because we remember how it felt and we want to experience that again. But we have to rewire, just like we have to do anything, rewire the brain and rewire that system to have a positive feeling just as good to something healthy as well as, so. And stuff, I tell people the first thing I send them is the food substitution list. Try this instead of that. And I'm not trying to take things away from you. Just try this instead, or substitute this day. See how it goes.
Pretty good. There's two
great points. I really feel like you hit on, like a lot of times, especially because like family knows I'm vegan, vegetarian for the most part. I've been that way for a long time. Probably about 15, 20 years, roughly speaking, off and on. But like, I love what you said. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away. Like, when people think about when you go to a certain lifestyle, you change. They feel like you're losing something. You are losing, but you're adding and gaining so much more.
Absolutely.
So you're losing to gain.
Absolutely.
Right? You're losing to gain, and that goes for me too. Like, when you go into that certain like next phase, you feel like, well, oh wow, I'm losing this. I'm not doing that anymore. But then I've added much more to my life. As much as I love certain fried foods, I've let that go, but I've added so much more, and it's added so much to my life that I'm like, well, I do still crave it here and there, but it's so much sweet over here. I'm not going back.
Right.
You know?
Benefit. That's what keeps people on this path. How they feel once they change. It's like, this is great. I gotta fix this camera. I have to fix this camera. It's really good. Hold on.
Okay. All right. So family, Grand Rising Collective here. For those 3 people in the chat, thank you so much. She just fixing the camera real quick. But if you have any questions, please put them on the side while you have her here. I mean, this sister has been doing the work for quite some time, since 2005. Definitely subscribe to our channel, Grand Rising Collective, if we hitting you with some jewels, because she's dropping some jewels. It may not be like mind-blowing as you think it might be, like some old kind of conspiracy theory stuff, but she's dropping jewels. She's dropping some actual tangible stuff that you can start to use in your daily lifestyle, like, for real.
Yeah, because there's so much stuff I want to ask and add to, but I know, for the sake of time, because that'll be a 2-hour conversation.
Yeah.
But I do want to answer one of your questions. You mentioned like the microwave society, and I got to be real brief because, I want to get on to this. But I think part of it comes from the psychological trauma that we experienced, and me and Kyle had this conversation before, but it's a whole nother topic. Just to answer your question, the roots are tied into slavery.
Yes.
Trauma that we experienced in slavery, so generationally it's passed down. And then also technology. When we were growing up, we didn't have access to the information that these young people have access to now, to, I guess, contribute to that instant gratification type thing that made it more of a reality. So I just wanted to put that out there. We'll discuss that more probably in part 2. But my question to you, Jack, is what are some of the if you don't mind me calling you like Jackie.
Oh, you're fine.
All right, okay. Just make sure it's cool. All right, so we know how Kyle put it, as food being the gateway drug as it relates to salt and sugars and things of that nature. How can we get kids to stop, like you said, eating the junk? Now, you can give them an alternative list. And you and Kyle spoke on that, for them to understand we're not taking anything away from you. We're just letting you know we're stopping this because it's better if you do this. But a lot of young kids, particularly the demographic that I deal with, they don't want to hear that. Are they, like, in addition to giving them that alternative list, does that alternative list work? In your experience, has that alternative list been effective more with adults who have experienced and been around long enough, and they really want to change because they see the overweight and they see how it affects their lifestyle, as opposed to young people? Is it, do young people gravitate to that list? Are they more receptive to that list, or how can we get them to stop?
Yes. Most of the time, the individuals that come to me are adults, and they're setting the stage for their family, and because they're the ones buying, these certain things when they go into the grocery stores. But what I have found, and again, this is the society that we have, like you said, technology is the gateway that makes things, I need it now. But because it's here, technology has been a way to advance the mindsets of individuals who have archaic thought processes when it comes to the value in whole foods, fruits, vegetables, legumes, and things of that matter. We're trying to take out the antiquated thoughts of the standard American diet being one of wellness, because it is not. And so technology, I'm talking about, if you're putting something on right now, if TikTok had a video that went out to the world about how bomb fruits and vegetables were, I can guarantee you that those kids will be just like, Mom, can I have a mango? What's up with corn? I heard kale was fine. What's up? They make a call with kale, and they're just in the kitchen talking about kale. So the avenue that cripples us can be the avenue that heals us as well. Because I've seen some really nice videos out there, and I'm just like, oh, share, you know. And at that moment, it could go out, you know, like wildfire. So I feel as though we have to use everything at our disposal to be effective, but because we live within systems. It's unfortunate, but we live within systems, and sometimes these systems are oppressive. We have to be mindful of that, and as a segue, make sure that the people that have the ability to make decisions at higher levels, like writing legislations and putting things into law, or in a place or sitting at the table with individuals that can make changes to what is fed in schools or what is allowed. That's also important as well. So we all have a role to play in this spectrum. Yours might be in the home, someone else's might be in the school, someone else's might be at, you know, in the House of Representatives. But there just needs to be someone that has an understanding about this. And the education comes from, you know, all these platforms. And I really appreciate what you all are doing so that more people can see it at one time and quicker, you know? I think that answers the question. Does it answer the question?
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Okay. One other thing I want to check out for you is some of the stigmatization in regards to Whole Foods. There was something I saw on one of the social media live news feeds, is how expensive healthy food is, how cheap junk food is. Yeah. Like you buy, you know, a bag or whatever for like $1.50 or the case would be, but a nice healthy, you know, fruit or snack from Whole Foods costs $5. So when you're trying to survive.
Okay, there's two avenues to overcome that personally. I feel like, yes, there's propaganda out there about how expensive it's health, but who are you buying it from? Because you as a consumer can go to the store and whether you're on, if you have food stamps or not, because there are programs that I have taken and experienced where you can be an herbalist and have an apothecary right off of EBT food stamps and have your cupboard full of things that keep your family well and healthy all throughout the winter and the fall months, or I mean throughout the whole year. Giving people education about growing their own food, you know, or putting them in contact with cooperatives, local co-ops, that they can get more information about how to help feed themselves, eating local, eating regional or organic foods right in their own backyards, because they can control and look at what's actually happening instead of it being shipped all over the country and then in a grocery store. Again, that's what we have. That's what we have to do sometimes. But our ancestors lived off of the land, and we have to get back to that. When you say, what's your question again?
I was talking about the expense between Whole Foods.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and I did say, where are you getting from? It's expensive. It's made expensive at times because you're paying for the convenience. And convenience of being healthy, they know that's valuable to individuals. That food that costs less will keep you in the cycle of abuse that our systems want you to be in. And I tell people all the time, I would rather pay more for something on the front end than paying insurance bills and doctor bills and co-pays when I can take care of myself on the front end. Prevention is valuable. So I tell people it's worth it. And I'm not saying that, to be honest with you, I've been vegan, like I said, 15 years, and I can't tell you that the way that I live my life and my lifestyle is more expensive than someone that buys, you know, other foods that aren't healthy. And you'll find stores and convenience stores and all these cigar stores and liquor places overpopulated in the communities that are disenfranchised because they want those individuals to partake in those things and they make them cheaper. So it's a design of a system that's oppressive for healthier things to cost more, but there are ways around that. You just have to be mindful and find those pathways that can put you in contact with individuals that can give you better solutions. This year, well, I've grown a garden for the last 3 years, but me and my sister friends, we're making sure that whatever we're growing, we're telling each other, so that when we get to the point to where things are ready to be harvested, I can get my tomatoes from you because you can get your okra from me. I'm gonna get my cucumbers from you because I can get my kale from her. So there are ways that, I mean, Earth Mother gives us everything that we need. And in the stores, we're paying for convenience. And right now, prevention is more convenient to me than a price tag.
Fire family. She come with that fire. I'm telling you, look, like she's just dropping jewels. She's dropping just some jewels today. To add on to what she's saying, like again, even with my like she's saying, being proactive more than reactive. If you spend more money or you spend your money in the right ways on your health, that's less money you have to spend on going to the doctor, doing co-pays, all these medication bottles lined up that you have to take they tell you have to take for the rest of your life. You know, like I found ways to get deals on fruits and vegetables at the store, right? You don't have to go to Whole Foods. They got Aldi. I'm not ashamed to say it. Aldi.
Oh, I love Aldi.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, shameless plug to Aldi. You know what I'm saying? You got Fine Fare here in New York. You know, you got Food Town. You know, you got the dollar store, Dollar Tree. There's certain little things you can get there. Not everything, but there's a few things you can get there. You know what I mean? So there's ways. There's ways to get around it. And to be real, to be just actual factual, the amount of money that you spend on heavy meats or like liquor or smoke is the same amount of money you could be getting something that help benefit your life, to really give you health. And again, that's right. It's a mindset. That's a mind change. You know what I'm saying? That's that alchemy happening. You know, that's a great book for people to read. You know, like it really is. And along with, you know, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, like, you know, these are ancient concepts that they talking about.
Let me interject real quick, Cal, before you ask your next question. We didn't mention this at all, but I just want to get your take on it real quick. Just a quick response. What is it called? Vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the foods you eat affects your vibrations, and the people who eat low foods or who think negative operate on a low vibration. I don't think people realize or connected to you know, what's going on in them has to do with vibrations, has to do with frequencies, has to do with energies, and some of it is tied into the foods that you eat. Is that okay? Just wanted to bring that out there so people, you know, look into that.
I tell people, eat the rainbow, and there's a reason why you eat the rainbow. Those are frequencies on every color. So all the foods coordinate with colors so that you can actually steer your healing in the direction that you need with the foods that you eat. So I'm doing a chakra cleanse right now. As you can see, we're on the throat chakra right now. That's why I'm in my blue. So this is very fitting to be on a talk show today because that's the area that I'm focused on. So I was like, the universe just lines up with me all the time. I'm grateful.
Yeah. What's up?
Feel yourself again. Fork, knife, and a spoon every day.
Awesome. Cal, I'm sorry, I had to ask that question.
No, that was a pertinent question, man. Because again, when we talk about, and that really goes into my next question, Jaaclyn. Okay. A lot of times with this, and one of the reasons I brought you on, a lot of times people look at what you do as like hokey pokey, like, oh man, they just saying some stuff, and you know, it's not based on anything real. And you talked about it earlier, like, oh, that's spiritual stuff, or you know, vibrations, hormones, colors. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, come eat this fried chicken over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this fried chicken never hurt me. My grandmother, grandfather, you know, grew up on this stuff. What's wrong with it? You know, like,
tell you, what they grew up on is not what's in the stores today.
Okay. Speak on it, please.
Because the way they feed the animals, and we already know that the agricultural system and the way that they farm our animals over here has added to, you know, individuals talking about global warming and CO2 levels and the holes in our ozone layer because of all the ways that they are industrially farming, you know, or industrially raising animals and things to that matter. But that's another conversation. But when they talk about hocus pocus, the Western world has made it almost necessary for us to intellectualize everything for it to be true. And they put that system in place a long time ago to where people will not believe what you're saying unless there is some research on it. And mind you, they're not even questioning who put out the research, whether it's biased or not. Right. It's like you have to have empirical, you got to have a paper, you got to have a research on it. You have to show some type of proof.
Right.
But that is because we have been influenced by the Western world and the way that individuals that run this world think. Because they have control over what's printed and what's researched upon and how much. So all of it is a part of an oppressive system. Our ancestors were spirit driven, hands down, because that's all that they had.
Okay.
So when you talk about hocus pocus, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I think that when they see the proof, whether it's in an article, whether it's by someone's word that they trust, or they feel it within themselves. That's why faith and spirituality keeps individuals motivated to go or stay that course or continue to be on that path, because they said, I know for sure because I witnessed it. I felt it. You know what I'm saying? You that live plant-based lifestyles have said, okay, there's proof out there that eating meat and eating certain things causes cancer. But you still do it. Why? Because of the way it makes you feel.
Right.
And because you trust that what the research says won't happen to you. That's what they are choosing to build their argument upon. But I've chosen to take the results that I've experienced for myself, and backing it up with the research, as well as listening to what spirit is telling me about my body, about my thoughts. We have to remain open to what spirit is saying. And when I say spirit, I'm not talking about an individual's higher power. You know, I'm not going to get into that conversation, but we are all light beings, and we do have a spirit, a soul within ourselves, and we communicate and commune with our spirits every day. And so, well, should,
right?
But
yeah.
But being tuned in, tapped in, and turned on is a process that takes cultivation. And understanding the importance of spirit comes with being educated on how important it is. And believe me, the universe, the spirit, Earth Mother, they do not need us. They were just fine. I mean, they are just fine. But this, you know, I have read certain researchers and individuals that say Earth is just a big experiment. You know, it's just like, let's see what we're doing today, because it's we're here to learn, and we're here to remember, because as we know, this is something that has been proven, that energy is not destroyed. It's transferred. It's not created. It has, I mean, you know, that we know.
Right.
So,
right. Neither created or destroyed. Just
yes. So there's nothing new under the sun. And come on, camera. And we are here to remember, and we're here to make our imprint on in this time and space continuum, as you know, as we're here. So I think I answered the question. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. See, I'm glad, Jaaclyn, you going in like this, because a lot of times people like, just give me what's the answer. Like what you just said was the answer. It's not a yes no thing. It's a, like you said, you're coming from a holistic, and that's what I feel like we've been missing as a community. The holistic view of it. Like me and Kayode talk about this with like our community, and like why certain things don't happen. Certain things don't happen because this didn't happen, and because this didn't happen, this didn't happen, because this didn't happen, this didn't happen. It's a chain reaction. You know, it was like no person's an island. It's like we all affect each other, which affects our environment, which affects everything else. It ripples out. So when we say, well, why is this person acting up? What's going on? Well, look at their living situation. And then look at the people who created their living situation. And then look at the people who influenced the people who created the living situation. You know, it's like, you gotta go do your research. And you said something earlier, which really struck me as well, like having the courage.
Yeah.
To like research. Like, what do you mean by that? Like having the courage?
Well, over being mindful of the fact that the status quo at times can determine an individual's fate. I want to be a doctor, right? Somebody says they want to be a doctor, but if they have certain views and perspectives that don't line up with the institutions or the individuals that are giving the licenses, they're just not going to be one, hands down. They're going to have to go another path. They're going to have to do something else, find an institution that aligns with their principles. But telling the truth at times has cost.
Definitely.
So, and everybody's not willing to sacrifice.
Right.
And I'll say this word because I know that it's tied to white people. I just say that, but whatever level of privilege that a person has, they are evaluating, am I willing to give that up to tell the truth? So being brave means overcoming your own personal bias and your own personal living style and your own personal everything for the greater good.
All right, listen.
Yeah.
Sorry. We got 15 minutes because we're going to go to just 15 more minutes.
15 more minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you, family, for chiming in with us. Again, it's the Grand Rising Collective. We have the world-renowned now. She's going to world-renowned. World-renowned Ms. Jaaclyn Davis, holistic lifestyle wellness coach, here with us, based in Nashville. But she's global, y'all. So we're here with her and we appreciate her time. She's going to give us about 15 more minutes. So, Brother Kayode, go in, man.
You got now. We're dealing. We talked at length. I didn't think there was so much to this. Honestly, I thought that's why the topics we put on there covered. So, family, those of you listening, sorry we couldn't get to the other topics in depth, but now you see the importance of how healthy living affect. I'm not even gonna go. So let me move on. Because for the sake of time, I gotta. So we're right now, as a humanity, populace is going through this serious situation, a pandemic. Some call it a pandemic, some call it an epidemic. Epidemic is COVID-19. So I guess my question in regards to our living since COVID-19, you're hearing how this virus, people got to walk outside with a mask over their face. They got to wear gloves. So it kind of contributes to a type of hysteria. I see people who are being quarantined inside, stay at home to be safe. Some people who are actually staying at home are actually dying at home because the respiratory, and this is where they're supposed to be safe. So I guess my question to you, Jackie, real quick is, do you have, for people who are struggling right now with this COVID situation, if you can sum up in some kind of way right now, someone who hasn't been living a healthy lifestyle, someone who hasn't been eating fruits and vegetables or the rainbow and the chakras and the throat and things. Right now they're in this situation. What advice can you give them in this epidemic of COVID-19? In addition to what the advice they've already gotten in regards to wearing gloves, wearing a mask, you know what I'm saying? Yes. What advice could you give them? How to do
Number one, I would say do what you feel you need to do to decrease your levels of anxiety and fear, because anxiety and fear and worry raise cortisol levels within the body, and those kill white blood cells, which is your immune system.
Wow.
So fear and worry lowers your defenses. So staying positive, staying informed, but still continuing to live is very important. My mother, like I said, is a doctor, healthcare professional, and she's in the prison system. So if something breaks out in there, it'll spread like wildfire. But she's not going to work living in fear. She is doing the protocols that she has adopted for herself to make sure that she feels safe and that she feels protected wherever she goes. Number one is the spiritual component. Number two, we take practical things that we can see protocols into action. She takes 2 showers a day. Some people might do that anyway, but just because of where she's at, morning, whenever she's at, she takes that. She makes sure that she gets her herbal teas and takes her herbs every day, building up her immune system. She does things that bring her pleasure and joy every day. I'm talking about whether it's music, playing in the garden, walking outside. And if you're walking outside, if you feel like you need to wear a mask, wear one. I mean, there's no shame in wearing a mask. I did a video this week, and I have a beautiful mask that's made by my seamstress. It has beautiful African fabric. It's so cute and it's fashionable. But I don't wear a mask because I'm sick, and I don't think other people are going to get me sick either, because I've seen the research and I know how long things can live on surfaces. If I go to the post office or something like that, I'll wear gloves, but I wear a mask because I haven't trained myself not to touch my face. So just to keep myself, from touching my face right now. And again, all of this is prevention, right? All of it is prevention. So and if I don't wear gloves, if I don't, I just make sure that I wash my hands thoroughly when I go to places. But these are precautionary things that I'm doing to help me feel safe. But I'm not walking around in fear. That's a different mindset. You're going to get the same result if you walk around in fear and be like, oh my God, I avoided Corona, thank God. Or, oh my gosh, I protected myself and I avoided Corona. But you see the pathways are different. But the energy associated with them, this is the lower vibration, which could add to feeling sick, getting sick. And this vibration can keep one from getting sick. And if anything ever happens, because Corona is not the only thing out here that we need to be afraid of, guys. So if you get sick, if you're living a healthier lifestyle and you're positive about it, you'll get well quicker. And I had to reel some of my friends in. And when this first started happening way back in February, my first question was, who lives? That's all I would say to them is, who lives? And they couldn't tell me because the media wasn't telling them and they didn't know. And I was like, but I know someone has lived. Everyone that has gotten this has not died. But until the mass media said it, no one really was thinking about that. But I programmed my mind to know that this is not a death sentence for everyone. And we know it should be true now. But I made sure in the beginning that I thought that, because it was real to me. Because I know I'm going to live to be 100 plus years old, but this is not going to take me out. Right. So it's a mindset. But take whatever precautions you need to take, and don't feel any type of way about doing it, but walk in a way of knowing that and assured that you are taking the proper protocols to keep yourself safe and those around you safe.
Thank you for that. And that chimes into like one of the kind of the somewhat questions is like, we've survived so much as people of color and like Black folk, we've survived. So, think about it. Like, think just in the last century alone, like industrialization age to the Great Depression to all the World War I, World II, which was the Spanish flu. We went through that with 1917. We went through that, and then the 60s into the 70s with and 80s going into Reaganomics through the crack era, all that stuff, for some little funky virus. You know what I'm saying?
But I would say quickly that there are outside of just making sure that your emotional wellness is good and you're making sure that you're not taking part or listening to or hearing things that have to deal with fear mongering, because again, that lowers your own defenses. There are natural things that you can do. Getting out in the sunshine, number one, you get your D3, but the sun kills bacteria on your skin, so getting sun is very, very important. Sweating is very important as well. Taking walks, being physical. If you sweating is one of the best and most natural detoxes that you can do for the body. Yes. So, and eating, fresh fruits and vegetables, that's always good. If you want to do something herbal, great teas or great things that are good for reducing anxiety are St. John's wort. Now, results may vary across the board, and I'm not giving it claims. I'm just saying that the research has proven that these things could help in this area. St. John's wort, as well as blue vervain, valerian. Valerian is an herb. It smells like dogs and butt. It just smells bad, but it's really, really good with bringing down anxiety. Chamomile, we all know about chamomile.
Yeah, chamomile works. That works, family. That works.
Yes, and lavender, and you can get the essential oil and put it in a diffuser. You can get some of these as bulk bulk herbs, and then you can make a tea and drink them. There's a way to use them in different ways, but the breath. That's something that we do all the time, and it's necessary for living. But if we're taking short, shallow breaths all the time, we're not getting oxygen to our brains, which doesn't allow us to think clearly. That can be something that causes us to stop in general. Like you're not even thinking clearly because you're not even breathing. So taking deep cleansing breaths throughout the day is so important. And while you're at your desk or you're in your car or you're anywhere, take those deep cleansing breaths. Thank your lungs for working for you. Thank your body for being present. Thank your body for working. This right here, everything deserves gratitude, including you and your body. So I talk to myself often. I'm like, okay, come on, knees, what's going on? What we're going to do today, you know? So it's everything deserves appreciation. So at times you have to ask yourself, for individuals that they get sick, this is the spiritual part of things that I'm talking about. Have they been neglected? When is the last time you actually wanted to breathe deeply, breathe fresh air? Some of these things are a wake-up call to individuals or have to do with your breath. And that's the source of life. Have you thought about your source? So it's always a rabbit hole, as we know. But those are just some quick things that people could do. You know, I make a mucus buster formula, but it's full of aromatics, herbs that are that would cause you to like effervescent, you know, like the peppermints and the spearmints and the eucalyptus, things that'll open you up. So during this time, if you feel like you want to clear mucus out or things like that. So actually doing active things that put you in the mindset of, I'm preventing this, I'm protecting myself. That helps fear diminish.
A sense of control over your situation, right? That's
what people are so afraid of. They're afraid that they can't control when or if this virus infects them, or if it does. That's why they're walking around like, because they feel like they're out of control. But that's not true.
Oh man, she's so many jewels today, family. So many jewels. I'm just like, some stuff, you know, I somewhat knew of, but she's even dropping some new stuff on me to think about, to take with me. One thing I do want to state in reference of Jackie, what you were saying with like again the having control, or not even having control, but controlling the things that you can and don't worry about the things that you cannot, you know, be proactive. That seems to be a common theme in this talk today. It was like, you know, just kind of be proactive, just learn enough information so you can make wise choices and decisions.
Right.
One thing I want to talk about as far as when people say like, you know, home remedies, you know, like you said, doctors versus holistic health practitioners, or holistic health practitioners versus mama and them. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me ask this, how can we, as far as in our own individual houses, just make sure that our spaces are cool? Like, do you have any insight on that? Like, as far as like placement of things, or just like, what are some things in the house that we maybe can have kind of help?
Well, plants help greatly. Number one, because they clean the air.
Okay.
There's some plants that are really good with it, like aloe vera plants. They're very good. Unless you have like a system that purifies your air for you, you know. But plants are amazing for that. All types of plants, and you can look at, because again, plants are alive, and plants have certain energies, and there might be a plant that is tied to the energy that you want to be in your home. So you do have to, you know, I think at its most elemental level, a plant is good, because again, we cannot survive without the plant kingdom. Without trees, we're done. So we have to think about the give and take that we experience in this world, right? And you can be grateful at the fact that, thank you for giving me oxygen, and the plant can be thankful for receiving the carbon dioxide that we blow out. That's a moment of gratefulness that you can take every day, that you weren't taking before, because something is alive and present with you that you're aware of. So within your home, our homes are good. I don't know. But the energy that you bring into the home yourself is really important. There's a lot of things that can be brought into the home to clear it out or cleanse it out. I use certain resins like frankincense and copal, where I, just smoke it out in my home, once or twice a month, so that it just purifies the area and the energy. I use sage at times, and I say at times because sage is endangered now because of all the commercial farming. So I tell individuals,
Wow.
so many herbs that can be used for purifying or cleansing outside of sage, like lavender and mugwort. There's bundles for that. And all of these, how to make these things, you don't have to buy them. You can make them yourself. But if you want to buy them, you can. But getting in touch with individuals who work with the land and work with the plants is important. There should be someone that that's an herbalist or a farmer, and you can reach out to them and get more information, and then you can possibly start doing these things yourself. So coming from and
I'm gonna say, Jackie, adjust your camera. There you go.
It's so stubborn. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming from a mentality of living in the city and just doing things, having things being handed to you in the concrete jungle, to understanding that nature, the plant kingdom, and being able to work, put your hands in the dirt and put your hands in the soil, it gives you more opportunity to control those things that we're not used to controlling, and you'll trust more in what you can do for yourself. Oh, and I will say this, my last thing. Our ancestors knew what energies to pay homage to. And that's why they were not sick and as we necessarily are today. You all knew the rules. You come in the house, the shoes come off.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down in your grandmama's bed with your outside clothes on. It was a fight.
Outside clothes.
Like, why you coming in? You bring it outside, inside. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Cleaning those baseboards, cleaning them cobwebs, cleaning those dishes every day, making sure things was. You could usually eat off my great auntie, great grandmother's floors.
Yo, facts.
And the reason why that is because they were taught by somebody, and they were taught by somebody who knows that the silent killers in this world are diseases. And you can keep diseases and bacteria and things like that at bay by living a life that's clean and hygienic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The way we live our lives every day, like literally every day, can help us or hurt us. If you don't have good hygiene, or if you're not cleaning your home spiritually or physically, you're inviting disease and things into your home that don't have to be there. Mm-hmm. So they knew what they were talking about. We've just gotten lazy. We substituted money and convenience for the things that kept us safe and well.
Facts.
So if you're doing those things within your home, the anxiety levels go way down. You don't have to go out and buy chemicals and bleach and do everything all crazy if it's a regular part of your life.
Facts. Very good.
If I had the flex horn right now, I'd be buzzing it like crazy. I'd be like, yo, button. Yeah, like, oh goodness, sis, well, before I go into, I want to say, look, you said talk about thank you, give thanks for you. I mean,
yay, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Give thanks for your spirit, give thanks for your energy, give thanks for your time, your expertise, because you are a professional, all right? And what you're doing for the community down in Nashville and just globally, you know what I mean? And before I forget to, shout out to Leah who linked us together.
That's right.
Shout out to Leah.
Yes. She will crochet anything. I'm talking about anything. Look her up, the Late Bloomer on Instagram, and Leah Beatrice on Facebook. She's thebomb.com. But yes, she's a fifth guide as well. Woo-hoo.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, sorry,
we spread the love.
Sorry, but much love to Leah out in the Bahamas doing her thing. She's an actress, artist. Right. She does a thing. So definitely check her out. Late Bloomer, right? It's Late Bloomer on Instagram. Late Bloomer, yeah. Check out on Instagram, family. So family, this concludes, you know what I'm saying, the Green Rise Club podcast. We have so many other questions, but we're gonna do a part 2. Like, Oh man. I mean,
drink a green juice, everybody. Drink a green juice.
So Jack, I'm gonna end with you because I want to make sure that they follow you. You know, you got products that can definitely help them get through some things. But family, again, thank you for allowing us to fill up your time today. Again, there's a lot of things going on, but you can spend it anywhere in the world, but you spend it here with us, and we appreciate that. Definitely subscribe to our channel down below. Or if not, just put a like, definitely like the video, share it with your people. You know what I'm saying? We're all about empowering, enlightening, informing our community, our folks. And we hope you had some tangibles to take away with you to help get through this thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I'm at on Instagram. On Instagram, it's Divine Wellness Now. That's my business page. On Facebook, it's the same thing, Divine Wellness. And my website is www.divinewellnessnow.net. And anything from herbal consultations, educational courses on wellness and holistic wellness, as well as right now I cannot keep CMOS in stock. Everybody on the CMOS. CMOS is the thing. I just came from the post office right before we started this, and I had boxes go like this. And I
got my order in, family. I got my order in. She got my order, so I'm good.
I said, oh my gosh! It doesn't matter where you get it, people. CMOS is amazing. It's amazing, and it does a number of things. And there's so much information out there about it. But I do offer that to individuals that you can buy it on the website, or you can contact me directly. My email is divinewellnessnow@gmail.com. So if you have any more information, just hit up these two fine gentlemen. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you all's desire to give this information to the community. And I hope that we'll have an opportunity to talk again.
Definitely have to talk to you. They said it all. There's nothing really I have to say. I was just assuming this whole thing basically. But my social media is Balogun Legit, BALOGUN LOGIC on Twitter and Instagram. Kayode Bentley is my YouTube channel, Grand Rising Collective, obviously here through email. I have also a channel called Perspective TV where I do one-to-one interviews with those in my circle. Part of it is my dad, Talk with Pops, where we talk about all these topics. And then Candid Advisor, where I give my advice on certain topics, relationships, career, things of that nature. So that's how you can reach me. That's all I got to say. Thank you all so much, Jaaclyn. Thank you so much. You
Yay!
Awesome. Yes. Learned a lot and follow up with you, Cal.
And Jaaclyn, we gotta bring you back on because the whole thing with our folks is relationships.
Right.
So we definitely gotta go into that and how that functions as far as like dealing with that holistic lifestyle and breaking those bad habits.
Yeah, the Black family is it's an agenda to break it apart. So our job is to help inform us, and so that we can be healthy family units as well. So, and it looks different. You believe me, it doesn't always look like we think it should look, but the Black family is definitely under attack. So I'm here to help in any way possible.
Okay. All right, cool. So family, reach out to her. Holla, thank you again. You can follow me. I got my tagline on here at DIX_KYLE on Instagram. I'm here on YouTube, Mr. Kyle Dixon. I'm on Twitter, KEasy773. But no, definitely hit up Jaaclyn. She has a wealth of knowledge to share with you all, especially during these times. So take advantage before she becomes too busy. Too busy to get right back to you. But
right. It's gonna happen. I'll take care of my people.
Indeed. So much love and respect, you all. Thank you so much. And we out.
Peace. Take care, y'all.
All right, take care. Take it easy.